Watching for with some wild tales of a deadly killer. Deep within the jungles of southern India, there lives a legendary king, respected and feared by all. He is swift, strong, and deadly. He is the largest venomous snake in the world. Until now, his life has been a mystery. This is the story of a remarkable monarch. It is early on a cool morning when the King of Snakes embarks on a tour of his realm. His is an ancient forest, alive with creatures great and small. Like the King Cobra himself, many hover precariously close to extinction. But on this morning, the jungle pulses with the sound of insects and birds. A great Indian hornbill delicately feeds his family hidden in their nest below. Through this jungle book world, the king roams great distances. Though his movements are quiet, those around always take note, for crossing the king cobra could cost them their lives. Despite the uproar his presence causes, his world is mostly silent. Without ears, he hears through his jaw. He picks up heavy footsteps nearby. Even the elephant steers clear of this serpent, for just one bite may bring death. But the king would strike only in self-defense, for he feeds solely on snakes. Still, the langurs are cautious. Today, the king is not interested, even in food. He is searching for something else, something very important. His eyesight is better than most snakes, but he sees without color and only registers objects when they move. His tongue brings particles of scent to be smelt by a special organ in his mouth. This way, he can even search for water. Today, it is vital that he drinks, for the king is about to shed his skin. He needs extra fluid to help separate his old coat from his new. It's an uncomfortable time for the king cobra. A new skin is developing beneath his outer scales. must find a place to hide until it is time to shed. The king is unaccustomed to being so vulnerable. It's a dangerous time for him. At last, he discovers a burrow. For the next 10 days, he stays here. Irritable and tense, he reacts to any movement nearby, and none of the forest creatures wants to share with the king. Even the harmless wanderings of a turtle unsettle him, for his eyes are clouded by a secretion which helps separate his skins. Half blind and assailable, he is always ready to strike. At last, his eyes begin to clear, a sign his new skin has finished growing. The king is back, but must still lose his top layer. His spent skin is tight and itchy. As he scrapes and rubs to relieve the discomfort, his outer scales begin to peel. It's a remarkable transformation. Even his fangs, teeth, and the tips of his tongue are replaced again and again during the course of his life. When the skin over his eyes lifts away, he is given new windows through which to view his world. At 12 feet long and still growing, the snake must endure molting 4 or 5 times a year. His snakeskin jacket makes a perfect meal for his smaller subjects. In this kingdom, nothing is wasted. After 10 days without eating, the king is hungry. A tree offers a good vantage point for spotting prey. The king cobra is an excellent climber. Now he waits and watches. A movement in the tree reveals another hungry creature, a young hornbill. Its father has spotted something. The king cobra watches the hunt unfold. A vine snake ribbons across a nearby branch. Much smaller than the cobra, this nimble hunter is no match for the hornbill. The little snake looks as fierce as he can. But it's only a brave face. His venom is mild, not meant for birds. The young hornbill gets the prize, and the king waits for bigger meals. Below, on the forest floor, a rat snake is on the hunt. It is one of India's largest non-venomous snakes. Quick and voracious, it will take any small mammal. From his perch, the king spots the movement below. It is just what he's been waiting for. The king cobra joins in the hunt. The rat snake follows a scent. Its sensitive mouth has led it to prey. The king cobra is on their trail. As the rat snake prepares to attack, the king closes in. In a flash, the rat escapes. And now, the hunter becomes the hunted. Against the hooded death, even a 7-foot snake hasn't a chance. The rat snake puffs its throat up and lowers its tongue in threat, but it is a futile gesture. One strike delivers a crushing grip and venom. The poison pulses in enough to kill 10 men. The rat snake returns the attack, but it's already doomed. Within minutes, the giant cobra's venom takes effect, paralyzing the prey. Heart and lungs stop pumping, and the victim suffocates. The king cobra could easily devour this large snake. His backward-facing teeth and separable jaws help walk the victim down his throat. Digestion has already begun, for the venom dissolves the rat snake from the inside out. Nonetheless, the king cobra will linger over this meal, for he needs his energy for the search he is about to undertake. December is the dry season, time for the king cobra to find his queen. A new intoxicating scent fills the air. Some of the rainforest trees have dropped their leaves and begun to fruit. A joyful mood infects the langurs. Across the forest, the jackfruits are ripening. Their sweet, pungent odor beckons. It's an irresistible lure to creatures both small and great. To reach the succulent flesh within the 20-pound fruit, the prickly skin must first be peeled. It's a messy job for even the most adept. She leaves a veritable banquet in her wake. This is a season when king cobras roam widely through the forest. But today, the king's subjects are distracted by the fruit. They pay him only passing attention. The king still seeks a mate, and it's in this fruiting season that he's most likely to find one. But it's not a female he encounters. It's a rival, a formidable male. A potent threat, he must be driven away. Each is capable of killing the other with a single bite. A strange duel begins, an encounter rarely witnessed and never before filmed. Rather than a fight to the death, the battle has evolved into a ritualized dance. To win, one snake must force the other's head to the ground. At last, there is a victor. It's the intruder. The king is deposed. Driven into exile, he must seek another domain. But the rainforests of southern India are finite. As people press in, less and less remains for the king cobra. He has no choice but to leave the jungle. Fortunately for the king, water is no obstacle. He is a talented swimmer. But what is ahead for the king is less clear. As the forest is felled, refugees more and more frequently cross the border into a rival realm, the realm of civilization. Surprisingly, a tea plantation is a welcome sight to the banished king. Here there is thick vegetation and an abundance of rat snakes. but there is no welcome for him in these hills. His reputation for aggressive and unprovoked attacks precedes him. And when the cobra and the bare-legged cross paths, there is bound to be trouble. Just one glimpse of the legendary king can cause panic and shut down a plantation for weeks. This cultivated land is not as rich as the king cobra's old slithering ground, but still he makes himself at home here. Yet he must be evicted if work is to resume at the plantation. And even the king is no match for humans who are determined and armed. Happily for the snake, a special sort of hunter has been called in. His weapons are simply a stick and a sack, and the not-so-active participation of the community. In this part of India, people know to call Rome Whitaker whenever a king cobra is on the loose. An American expatriate raised in India, Whitaker has studied these snakes for over 20 years.
I'll leave the bag here. You take that path.
Okay.
Careful, huh?
Yep.
I've been fascinated with king cobras all my life. Anyone who likes snakes knows that this is the super snake, the snake of all snakes. As I get to know it better, it gets more and more amazing. Finding a king cobra in a tea estate isn't very easy. I spent 20 days tracking one down. The bushes here are so thick that I have to get down on my hands and knees to see where the snake's gone.
Is a dangerous proposition, especially for Whitaker. After several snake bites, he is now allergic to antivenom. The next bite could kill him.
I'm moving up ahead.
Okay.
This doesn't look like a too good place to do it, man.
Well, why don't you come around there?
Okay.
With the serpent cornered, the challenge now is to complete the capture without a terrible accident. The king cobra may be damaged. The stick could easily hurt him.
One second. Let's just take...
You need the bag up.
Yeah, just a minute.
He's big, he's really big.
There's some vines here. Back, behind. I don't want to pull, man. I don't want to pull.
No, I'm getting him around. I just stick.
What a hood, man. It's beautiful. Look at
What's your feet? Don't let him land.
I've been catching king cobras for quite a few years, and I've evolved a system which is quite gentle to the snake.
When the serpent is trapped, he tries to escape, lunging toward what appears to be a dark hole.
Okay, he's gonna go in. Open the bag. Let it swing behind you. Okay, good. Okay, he's gonna go in. You're going. Watch out.
Yeah.
All right.
Let go. Take.
Okay, twist, man.
Where it's not flat. Okay?
Yeah.
This is one hell of a snake.
Whitaker is not just a hunter. He's a leading expert in king cobras, and each capture is a precious chance to learn more about this elusive species. To take detailed notes on the snake, Whitaker has to remove him from the bag, which is just as dangerous as getting him in. But he must be removed to obtain a sample of his venom.
Okay, get the bag out. Okay.
The amount of venom the serpent can inject through his fangs is astounding. One bite could deliver enough to kill 100 people. The procedure doesn't harm the snake. His venom is simply saliva with a deadly twist.
Good venom sample. Okay, should we release him?
Yeah.
The king cobra can produce an unlimited supply.
Okay, Jay. It's like a 1,
I'm ready.
2, 3.
Few people are actually bitten by king cobras, for they're recluses whose home is deep in the forest. And this is where Whitaker makes his release, far from tea estates and people. After his encounter with the human race, the king cobra seeks refuge. A patchwork of woods and open grassland, this new home has all he needs: shelter and food. But there will also be other king cobras, and now he is the newcomer. Cautiously, he slides through the undergrowth. He senses something up ahead. A snake. Is it food? His tongue picks up a telltale scent. It's another king cobra, but this time a female. The king may have found his queen. She stands on guard. She may be ready to mate, but a bite from her would be fatal, so he moves slowly. He tries a little tenderness, but his gentle overtures are rebuffed. Abandoning the subtle approach, he becomes bolder. Perhaps this will excite her. With the female slow to respond, the king's advances grow more urgent. Finally, she begins to show interest, sliding her long, sinuous body against his. At last, with the tails entwined, they mate. It's a lengthy business. They may embrace for as long as 3 hours. When the male withdraws his crimson penis, the union is over. They go their separate ways. A new generation will be born. It is April, the season of serpentine unions and approaching rains. Clouds signal a difficult time ahead. With eggs developing inside her, the female cobra needs to feed more frequently now. In only 40 days, she'll lay her clutch, just before the monsoon breaks. Rising humidity brings forth new creatures. A hammerhead slug feels its way across the earth. The female moves more slowly as her eggs grow, and her journey becomes even more uncomfortable, for the moisture triggers sinister stirrings in the forest floor. The vampires of the rainforest, leeches, rise up in thousands. For the past 6 months, they have been dormant in the soil. Now they are hungry for blood, any blood. From the moment they emerge, leeches home in on virtually anything that moves. Once aboard the serpent, they make for the vulnerable gaps between her scales. At this time of year, hardly an animal in the jungle is spared this plague. As daylight fades, there is at least some comfort. With twilight, the jungle becomes cooler. In the brief dusk of the tropics, one world prepares to sleep, while another awakens. A multitude of tiny legs carries a millipede through the darkness. Beneath a jackfruit tree, a porcupine makes an evening meal of fallen fruit. On this moonlit night, the female king cobra searches for a place to lay her eggs. Their survival depends on her choice. Temperature and humidity must be just right if the eggs are to hatch. She sizes up a stand of bamboo, and her rustling startles the porcupine. Then something remarkable happens. She begins to gather bamboo leaves with great sweeps of her body. She starts to build a nest. It is an extraordinary feat for a limbless animal to construct a nest, and the female king cobra is the only snake that does so. It is an exhausting task. As she toils, a slender loris in the branches above begins his slow nocturnal search for food. The stirrings below do not disturb him. The king cobra continues to gather leaves for hours before she is ready to lay. The loris is suddenly more attentive. The rustling below has stopped. It is well after midnight and the cobra is giving birth. The eggs will slowly whiten as their coating dries. It takes the mother much of the night to lay her clutch of leathery eggs. Meanwhile, her upstairs neighbor spots a sleeping lizard. It's a lucky night for the loris. With 18 eggs laid, the mother cobra buries them beneath a layer of leaves. She stays in a second chamber above them and waits for the sun to warm the forest again. The cobra's maternal duties are far from over. For the next 2 months, she guards her nest from predators like the Indian mongoose. This little hunter tries his luck with anything that looks edible. In a scene from the Jungle Book, it is the cobra against the animal Kipling named Rikki Tikki Tavi. The mongoose is a notorious egg thief and one of the few creatures who can sometimes better a king cobra. The persistent little mongoose angers the mother cobra. Towering 3 feet above him, she has no need to strike. She makes her message quite clear. On this humid summer day, there are others in the forest searching for eggs.
Finding king cobra nests in the wild is really difficult, so I've been offering rewards. But still, in 20 years, I've seen only 4. People think that a king cobra on her nest is the most dangerous creature on earth. But what surprises me is that they're actually shy and retiring. All I have to do is gently prod the nest, and off she goes. But I know she'll stick around just to see what's going on. This is a great chance for me to learn more about this wonderful reptile. Let's check out the condition of these eggs. Even with the mother guarding them, some of the eggs won't survive. Ah, here's a rotten one. In this nest there are 18 eggs, and a few of them will never hatch. God, there's leeches here too. I'll chuck the rotten one away.
You better get them off your hand before they start.
Ah, never bothered me.
$30.9. Not bad, pretty constant.
Let's close it up.
When the researchers have finished their task, they replace the eggs and rebuild the mother's carefully constructed nest. Only after they've gone does the mother return. She resumes her watch for another month. King cobras are said to be ferocious in defense of their nests, but this may be no more than a myth.
I've been wandering in these forests for decades, and although we do keep an eye open for elephants, I've never been attacked by anything except the little creatures. Mites, ticks, leeches. Look at these suckers! Woo! Yeah.
The fish are eating them.
Pulling them off does feel a bit weird, but they don't really seem to do you any harm.
Soon leeches are the least of anyone's worries, for it is July, and at last the monsoon arrives in earnest. Sweeping in from the Indian Ocean, it brings in as much as 30 feet of rain in a single season. The lashing rain tests the king cobra's nest. The deluge lasts for weeks. Though the nest is battered, it serves its purpose. The female and her eggs weather the storm. After 2 months, the mother's long vigil is over. Instinct tells her to abandon the nest before her infants emerge, for she is a snake eater by nature, and within the nest, her eggs are stirring with life. Their mother glides off to hunt for her first meal in months. Her offspring are capable of fending for themselves. With its tiny, sharp egg tooth, the first tears open its shell. One by one, the others follow. Soon the nest glistens with a dozen miniature king cobras, complete with venom and tiny fangs. For the first 24 hours, the hatchlings remain near their eggs, as they absorb the nutritious yolks and take in the world for the first time. Then they start to explore. The pencil-thin babies are just 15 inches long, but already they act like their parents. Quick to respond to movement, they spar with each other. Then instinctively, most leave the nest and climb into the bamboo above for safety. One youngster lingers below. Instead of leaving the dangerous forest floor, this hatchling is drawn to the water for a drink. It could be a costly mistake. A crocodile is watching. Beneath the other, more cautious hatchlings, the mongoose returns to the abandoned nest. He's rummaging for leftovers, and he devours a king cobra that never hatched. In just a week, one of the hatchlings sheds his skin for the first time. He will molt every month for the first year, since he will have to grow quickly. The record for an adult is over 18 feet. Now the hungry hatchling must search for his first kill. He spots his prey, a little olive water snake. Even at this age, the mini king cobra can give a dangerous bite. He spreads his ribs and makes a perfect little hood. With his first scalp, the little prince takes the first step to becoming a king. In 10 years, he may grow to 15 feet, but only with luck, for the forests of southern India are shrinking. In such a changing world, the hatchling's prospects are uncertain. What will become of the little king? Will he be banished to the realm of legend, remembered only in storybooks? Today, at least, the reclusive reptile rules the fragile forest. Only while it lasts is he still king.